अब कहूँ फेर के मूल मिलावे की बेतक जैसी आज्ञा धनी की सो बाता बुजरक सो बाता बुजरक बोलिए श्री धाम के धनी की जय महामती लाल दास महाराज की जय. We went deeper and touched upon the concept of Mahakarana and delved deeper into the significance of this concept. We talked about how divergent are the viewpoints in many religious scriptures, in Hinduism, in Islam, in Christianity, the concepts of creation, God's creation, God's intention and motives. We also looked into the underlying questions that many religious scriptures fail to convincingly answer. Why is there so much suffering in this world when we say that God is omnipresent? Why can't God do something, or why does not God do something when we say God is omnipotent? And how can God ignore the plea, the pleading, the begging of all these people struggling with so many challenges of their lives when God is omniscient? God knows everything. If that is the case, why does not God intervene? We discussed the Islamic, Christian, and Hindu take on the suffering in this world and their argument to why God allows suffering in this world despite the attributes given to Him as all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing, merciful, benevolent. And we also said that the reason could be that these religious scriptures, the religious leaders, were unaware of the Mahakarana behind creation, the true intent of Lord behind creation. And while talking about this concept, we'll attempt to make some incontestable arguments as to why the world is the way it is. Through this concept of Mahakarana, we'll answer the questions that humanity has sought so desperately finding to. So, on today's topic, we'll go deeper into Mahakarana. As we talked about, Beetak, narrated by Lal Dasi, the first verse Chaupai of the second chapter, Mahamati Lal Dasi says, so he says, Ab kahun phera ke mul milave ki Beetak. Let me narrate you the story of Mul Milava, the place of divine gathering in Pranami. That is where the souls currently are. As it is all happening by the will of God, says Lal Dasi, it must be truly special. So that is what I'm narrating now. Lal Dasi describes the events leading up to creation and the descent of these beautiful divine souls, the Brahmatmas, from Paramdham. First as cowmaids or gopiya to Braja, and then Ras, and finally in this Kali Yuga, in different places with divergent viewpoints, the descent of Brahmatmas. That's the title of the second chapter. We'll discuss all the deeper underlying questions of our existence and many others. We'll try to find answers to. Because as we said, as we quoted, as Guruji said, so Beetak kahu tumko uda jasi savara. So we will get to Paramdham now. Yes, in yesterday's discussion, we said prior to the creation of this world, nothing existed but that ever radiating eternal Paramdham, thousand in numbers. The reference to which it can be found in Vedic scriptures as Puran Samhita and Maheshwar Tantra. Krishnam Kamala Patraksham Shachidananda Vigraham Sakhi Yuthantaracharam. Lord has leelas with these consorts in groups, meaning these 12,000 consorts, 12,000 souls. The fourth entity is Akshara Brahma, the infallible. Akshar, that is not destroyed. That is eternal. That is what Akshar, the word Akshar means. Akshara Brahma and his bliss, Lakshmiji. So these are the five entities in Paramdham. Rajji, Syamaji, Sakhiya, Akshara Brahma, and Lakshmiji. So these are the five entities. Now the question comes. I'm making it clearer in simple words. What does Paramatma do? What does Sri Krishna do? Since he is beyond time and space, he must not have any responsibilities, no duties. What does Paramatma do? Mahamati Prananath says he does not have anything to do. He is not the creator. He does not create the world because it does not make sense for Sachidananda Paramatma to create a world full of suffering. As such, Mahamati says, Hakka ko kama kachu aur nahi deve ruhu ladala chat. ये तो बिगर माग्या सब कुछ देते हैं, माग्या पीछे क्यों न पावत. Paramatma Sri Krishna has no responsibilities. All he does is shower his grace and abundant love upon his souls, these 12,000 consorts. How provident they are, how lucky they are, how lucky actually these souls are to be in the constant presence of the Lord Supreme. Paramatma Sri Krishna is given different names. He is given the name as Parabrahma, Paramatma, Aksharatita, Sachidananda, different names and attributes are given to him. So don't get confused by these words. Paramatma Sri Krishna engages in eternal leela, eternal sports with his souls, with Brahmatmas that reside with him in Paramdham. All he does become the leela, not the karma, because he is not designated or assigned to do anything. But these leelas are carried out as a part of spreading love and bliss among his souls. These 12,000 souls, as well as Syamaji Maharani, reside in infinite bliss with Sri Rajji, participating in different leelas and different parts of Paramdham in different times. Despite Paramatma, Sri Krishna being perfect in every possible way, and Paramdham being the land of Satchid Ananda, there is one thing missing in Paramdham. Always keep that in mind. There is one thing missing. Although it is a land of knowledge, although Paramatma, who is omnipresent, is knowledge absolute, there is one thing missing. That is, the consorts of Sri Rajji, the Sakhiya, are unaware of the glory of Sri Rajji, unaware of the glory of Paramdham. They are incognizant of Rajji's greatness. Mahamati Prananath states, Ruhe beniyaj thi beech dargah bare hajar, Jane na aap rasaki sahebiyan apar. They are unaware of the greatness of Rajji Maharaj in Paramdham, because they've been living there eternal. And they know Rajji is their beloved. They know Rajji's love and grace upon them, but they are unaware of what Rajji can do. The potency, the power, the greatness of Rajji is something they are unaware of. So this thing is missing in Paramdham. Yes, such Rajji. And we talked about the eternal argument about who loves more. As we state that as the term iska rabat, prem ko jhagada, the dispute, the argument about love, whose love is greater. Rajis are of that consorts. Rajji Maharaj thought that I should do something about this, make them aware of my greatness, as well as their providence of being in the constant presence of me. And it could not be done in Paramdham. How can you sow sadness and suffering in Paramdham? How can you sow the opposite of what Paramdham is in Paramdham? Because it is full of it. It is full of bliss. And until these souls are sent or are given a chance to experience the opposite, they would not understand my greatness. They won't understand why, or they won't understand whose love is greater. Because in Paramdham, everything Rajji does is for the sake of love. Everything these Sakhiya do, everything that these souls do, is to please Rajji. So it cannot be decided, it cannot be discerned, it cannot be judged whose love is greater. As such, Rajji Maharaj thought, एक पातशाही अरस की दूजा बाहिदत्त की इसक, सो दिखलाउने रूहों को पहले दिल में लाई. So that is Mahakarana. Two primal reasons to why creation happens. The first one, Patsahi Arasaki, that is one reason. Second, Bahidatta ki Sakka. The greatness of Paramdham, the eminence of Sri Rajji, to show that. Because the greatness of Sri Rajji was a mystery to the Sakhiya. They were unaware of it. To show the greatness of Sri Rajji. Second reason, the love of the eternal abode. To end the dispute once and for all, whose love is greater? Because it could not be resolved in Paramdham, like I said before. When you are always happy, it is not valued much. The Americans, or we can say, we drive our cars in 4-lane, 5-lane, 7, 8-lane highways in the United States. Surenji, we do that, right? And we do not always rejoice, oh, I'm driving the US highway or the American highways that are so wide and so beautifully maintained. Because we do that every day. We value things only when they are missing. We do not care much about our parents when they are with us. And we cry in their memory when they are not. So Rajji is in constant presence in Paramdham. Bliss is always at the disposal of this Sakhiya. As such, they do not understand the true value of it. As such, Rajji Maharaj took that into consideration. Rajji thought of the means to which it could be attained. These are two reasons why the world was created in the first place. These two reasons are what we call Mahakarana of creation. But before we understand the Mahakarana of creation in further details, we should also know the reasons. Those were Mahakarana, the concepts conceived by Sri Rajji, the intentions of Sri Rajji. But there are two other reasons to why we came into this world of suffering that are known to as the Karana of creation. To understand the Karana, or the reasons behind creation, we should understand the Akshara Brahma, the creator of the universe. Actually, the creation of infinite universes simultaneously existing. Let's talk about what he does and who he is. Akshara Brahma is the Sat Angsha of Aksharati Sri Krishna. He is the existence part of Sri Krishna. Aksharati Sri Krishna is Sat, Chid, and Anand, absolute. Is truth, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Knowledge is the Lord Supreme Himself. From the bliss came Syamaji and 12,000 consorts. And the one part of the Sat is Akshara Brahma. Maheshwar Tantra is where Lord Mahesha talks about the transcendent knowledge he received after thousands of years of his prayers to the Lord Supreme. In that Maheshwar Tantra, known as Agambani, transcendent knowledge, Bhagwan Mahesh, Lord Shiva says, Akshara Brahma is the one who creates and annihilates the universes. Na tasyaksha na karmana nirguna prakriti para tathapi balavat kridan koti brahmanda samhati. Devoid of any desires or duties, Akshara Brahma is the one without any distinctions, nirguna, and is beyond prakriti or maya. Yet, just like a child's play, he creates and destroys billions of universes. Mahamati Prananath in his Bani says, in Prakat Bani, that is the first Beetak, where we find the story of Brahma Srishtis and the advent of Sri Krishna in this world. He says, Nainake pava palame isharata kwai koti brahmanda upajata kapata. In the blink of an eye, Akshara Brahma creates and annihilates, obliterates millions and billions of universes. How do we understand this? How do we understand this concept that he creates and annihilates millions and billions of universes? Let me give you a practical example of that. We are constantly thinking in our lives. Every moment we are thinking about something. We imagine things. Oh, after this discourse, I have to go to school. So school comes in our mind. Oh, after this discourse, I have to go cook and feed my kids. My mind is there in the kitchen, cooking something for them. We constantly think about things, and our thoughts stop. The process of our thoughts stop. And from the kitchen, We'll find ourselves in the market buying groceries, buying vegetables. So we are not in the kitchen anymore. From our thoughts, the kitchen is not there. Kitchen is gone. And again, we'll think, oh, we have some groceries at home. Let me not go to the market today. We'll probably go next week. Today, I'll be learning something new. I'll be watching some YouTuber making some good dishes. Then the market is gone. Market is destroyed from our thoughts. So we are constantly creating or imagining these different realities while being in one place. Constantly creating and forgetting or destroying those thoughts. Similarly, Akshar Brahma has these millions of thoughts, and whatever he thinks becomes the reality. If he thinks that he's going to create a world, the world is already created. So his imagination becomes the reality. His dreams become the reality. So is not the case with the world. It does not happen to us. If it were, oh Lord, what the world would be like. When someone says something we don't like, we feel like beating the crap out of that person. When we think that if it happens and we happen to beat that guy, what happens? We don't like some people. We think of doing something bad to them. We like some people. We appreciate some people. But we cannot do what our mind thinks. It does not become the reality. That's why we have to work hard to have our imagination become realities. We have to work hard. It does not happen instantaneously. To become who we want, we work hard. We do not give up. We persevere. To succeed, to reach the heights, does not happen overnight. That is why it is said, Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. But for Akshar Brahma, it does not take time. His imaginations take forms, and the things there. When I think about Nepal, for example, when I take the word Nepal, I'm already there. But I'm here, I'm not in Nepal right now. Only my mind is. If Akshar Brahma were to think that, while being here, Akshar Brahma would be in Nepal. That's the difference. So what he does, these imaginations become realities. And like a child, those imaginations can be retracted. So he creates and highlights billions of universes in such way. Just like we think about something and think about something else in the very moment and forget about the first thing that we thought about. So, naina ke pao palame isharata kai puti brahmanda upachata kapat. That is Akshar Brahma. In Bhagavad 3:11-40, Akshar Brahma is stated as the reason of all reasons, the creator of all creations. Tada Puraksharam Brahma Sarva Karana. That Akshar Brahma that resides in Paramdham, as I said earlier, he is among the 5 entities living in Paramdham. Rajji, Syamaji, Sakhiya, Akshar Brahma, and Lakshmiji. He is among the 5 entities. He has 2 dispositions. He has 2 vrittis. One, the disposition of creation, khelko vritti. So we can call that a duty or responsibility, but he's beyond that. That is why we call it vritti, because he's not responsible of doing it. He's not assigned of that duty, but he does anyways. the disposition of creation through which he creates and destroys universes. One. The second one is the disposition of his union with Sri Rajji, the disposition to have a glimpse of Sri Rajji that we know by the term Bilasko Vritti. And for that latter, for the second Vritti we talked about, Bilasko Vritti, what he does is he comes to Ranga Mahal where Rajji resides with Syamaji and 12,000 consorts to have a glimpse of him. Its Puran Samhita states, Kutastha eva tadhamni Krishna darshana lalasah Nityam prayati paramaha prema puritamanasha. That Akshar Brahma comes to Paramdham Nityam, every day, prayati in the morning, with his heart filled with respect and love. Prem Purita Manasa, in his mind, in his heart, full of love for Sri Rajji. One significance here though, something that we should not forget. He is unaware of Syamaji Maharani and 12,000 consorts. He's unaware of their existence. So what he does is, we might all be aware of this. Ranga Mahal is 9-story tall. And he gets the darshana. Sri Rajji Maharaj gives him the darshana from the 3rd floor. The porch, Padasal, from the 3rd floor. And every morning around 9 o'clock, Akshar Brahma comes from Akshardham to Paramdham, to Ranga Mahal. He comes to the courtyard, Chandani Chowk, and has the glimpse, gets the glimpse of Sri Rajji Maharaj, and turns back and goes to his place, Akshardham, and creates and destroys the universes. So he is unaware of the presence of Syamaji Maharani and 12,000 consorts. Similarly, we, the 12,000 consorts residing in Paramdham right now, these consorts, we were unaware of Akshar Brahma. We knew nothing about him. We didn't know that he existed. Mahamati Prananath says, Akshara titaki moholame prema isaka baratata so shuddha akshar ko nahi kina vida kela kar. Akshar Brahma was not aware of these Sakhis in their leelas with the Lord Supreme. Similarly, we were not aware of Akshar Brahma. This leads to creation. This unawareness, this lack of awareness, this lack of cognizance, in parts of Akshar Brahma not seeing us and Syamaji, and us not knowing about Akshar Brahma, become the reason behind creation. Ek khelat dekhna ki ichha upajaye do. So God creates a desire in the minds of Akshar Brahma to witness the leelas of Rajji Maharaj with his consorts. And he creates the desire in us to know about Akshar Brahma, to be a part of his khel, to be a part of his creation. And this becomes two reasons. Bina karana karajana hoye so kahu yake karana do, says Mahamati. Nothing happens. Nothing happens without a reason. And I will tell you two reasons to why the world was created, Mahamati says. We saw Akshar Brahma today. He saw us in Ranga Mahal today. We were in the 3rd floor. He was in the courtyard. We were in Tiji Bhum ke Parsal. He was in Chandani Chowk. We saw him, he saw us. And that led to Sundar Shahji, our descent into this world, us coming into this world. It is not the stories of ordinary souls. It is not the story of the Jiva. It is not the story of Narayana and how by saying Ekoham Bahushyam, I'm alone, let me be many. We are not the progeny of Narayana. It is the story of the Brahma Srishtis. It is the story of the Lord's consort. It is the story of their descent. That is why the title of second chapter is Brahma Srishti ke khel mein agaman. How the consorts descended to this world to witness the creation of Akshar Brahma. That is what we'll talk about tomorrow. The process, how it happened, how it all unfolded. We'll talk about that tomorrow.